Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 354. And this episode, as always, of What's Right with Nick Wright is presented to you by Boost Mobile. A ton to do today. I actually fly out of town right after First Things First tonight for an event that I can talk more about when I get back, but it'll be great. I won't miss any podcasts, so we'll be back on the air on Tuesday with our regularly scheduled pod. And today we have a ton we're going to get to. I have to help out my buddy Daryl Morey because he is being misaggregated and a bit, and so we will discuss. However, the comments, he did make the comments. He's not being misquoted, but they are being slightly misconstrued. We will get to that. Also, Hall of Fame game tonight. So, who are the no doubt Hall of Famers playing? When you got to keep in mind, making the NFL Hall of Fame, it's the hardest Hall of Fame to make. And so it's fewer people than you think. And that actually, when we do that, that's one that you guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, and like, rate, subscribe, review on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can help along because we'll go team by team. And if you think there is someone that I have overlooked, and we do this once a year, and there's always at least one guy who's a no-doubter that I just forget exists or forget is still playing and not retired. So you guys can help us create our official list. So we're going to do all of that. There's some other fun things we're going to do as well. DeMonze, great to see you.
Good to see you.
As always.
Yes,
it looks
sir.
like a new hoodie, possibly, or just one I don't recognize. Either way, you look great.
I've worn it before. It's just been a while. I appreciate it. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Well, good to see you. Before we get to the real news of the day, as always, straight to voicemail brought to you by our friends at Boost Mobile. The NBA wants to expand its European footprint over the next few years. And I'm not saying that's because they might be dealing with, a different front of a competitive basketball league war and they want to stake out some ground, but they might be. Also, I'm not going to get too bent out of shape over Front Office Sports' exclusive, which was what we told you guys on Tuesday about that. What I said on TV on Monday and then on this show on Tuesday about the Maverick, LeBron, Joker's agents meeting, that it was not about LeBron playing for the Nuggets. It was about the league that Maverick is attempting to put together. That's fine. You know what I mean? They got some details in it that I was not, able to share. So there's no issue there, but that is a real thing. And that is something unequivocally to watch. Also, evidently, Cam Ward, DeMonze, your guy, called the Titans offense very mid. I've also decided Cam Ward's your guy. I just feel like
Ward,
he's
LaMelo.
Yeah, I just feel like yeah, I think he's your guy. And evidently Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas are dating. I love Tom Cruise. I'm not as familiar with Ana de Armas. Good for them. I wish them nothing but happiness. All right. Before we get to Daryl Morey's actual comments, what he actually meant, and for the 1 millionth time relitigating the bubble, there was a story yesterday that was in the sports world, DeMonze, that I don't want to give myself too much credit, but I think I might be the single best person in the world to discuss this topic. And that was Gilbert Arenas, along with 5 alleged Israeli gangsters, getting hemmed up by the feds for running an illegal Southern California poker game. So I am going to be, and maybe even take DeMonze off the screen for this, because I want to be very careful with what I say here, but I also feel like I have real insight, some of which I can share, some of which I can't, and just people that watch and listen to the pod, I owe you honesty, and I also try to educate as best as I can. So I know Gilbert's already, made bail. And I think if you read, if you didn't read the story, it is The allegation is very simple. That there was a high-stakes poker game in Southern California at a house Gilbert rented. They took a rake. If people don't know how, private games work, a rake is the house's cut out of every hand. So it is totally legal. If me and everyone involved in this pod came over to our house in New York and we played poker for $10 a man or for $10,000 or $1 million a man, that's actually totally legal. There is nothing illegal about playing card game with friends or associates for any amount of stakes, as long as you don't take a rake. The moment the house starts taking a cut, it becomes, by literal definition, an illegal gambling operation. So that is what they are attempting, in theory, to get Gilbert and these 5 Israeli, again, alleged gangsters for. All right. Now, the story also probably sounds, if you read it, a little more sordid, because it's like there also were, women at the games who would be waitresses plus masseuses, and then the allegation heavily implies also sex workers. So here's why I'm talking about any of this. Illegal private card games with a rake and with potentially some sex workers involved are a dime a dozen. At any given night in New York City, there's at least 20 going on for real money. On any given night in Southern California, there's at least 30 going on for real money. And they all fit this exact description. Catered food, a level of, for those who that's their thing, potential sex work, real money on the table, and the house taking a big cut. And there are a couple app games where people are raking tens of thousands of dollars a month, okay? And this is not new, and this is not news. And this is where I would be a little anxious, and I know his latest post made it seem like he is not, where I would be a little anxious if I were Gilbert. These are not things the feds tend to care about. Now, occasionally, these games get shut down by the DEA because security or somebody there is dealing drugs. And occasionally, these get shut down because the sex work component raises to the level where people are worried about exploitation. But as far as the actual illegal gambling operation, it's not usually something that the feds are interested in. So the fact that they were leads me to think there is somebody, one of these other, alleged co-conspirators, or somebody above one of them, that they are hoping to get some information on. And so I am here to tell you my, call it, semi-educated opinion is Gilbert's path out of this is going to be an uncomfortable one. Because I don't think the feds really want Gilbert Arenas to go to jail for allegedly renting a house and where a big card game was playing. I think the feds probably want to know about the other people involved. And that's a tricky spot. And so I saw Gilbert's post today. I'm glad he's out. I also think Gilbert has done a really cool job post-career of building a new career. And obviously his son, who has dealt with some injuries, and some scary stuff, but is a star basketball player. Gilbert seems to have a ton of great stuff going for him. I do not think this story is anywhere close to being over, and I don't think we can revisit it. They said trial set for September. Wonder if it ever gets to trial. I don't think that this is going to be a simple, all right, slap on the wrist situation. And so I'm a little nervous talking about it. But again, there is some target from the federal government involved in this. And it ain't no chill Gil for running a card game, allegedly. I promise you that. But they clearly think he can help. Not the spot you want to be in. So I will say one other thing, DeMonte, and then because this obviously was going around all of the, gambling groups, this story, whatever. And somebody that, you know what? I apologize. I'm not going to tell this little anecdote. I'm not going to. I'll maybe tell you off the air.
Okay.
But I'll put it like this. If you're a gambler and you read the people who got arrested, Gilbert wasn't the only name that you were like, oh wow. So they got him. Like there was so it's I think and I also think there's probably some people other than Gilbert that are a little anxious right now in that Southern California home game scene. All right, now let's get to more things I'm an expert in, which is LeBron James championships. Go ahead.
Yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of the first game in the bubble, and it's still a huge debate on its legitness. Daryl Morey said, in quote, "Everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship."
Yes.
Looking back, how would you measure the bubble championship?
Okay, so first, let me help out my pal Daryl, because I was shocked when I read this quote, because Daryl has publicly many times talked about how legit he finds that championship to be and how hard it was. And so when I saw, it's one thing for, Legion Hoops or whatever, one of these kind of fake aggregators to post a quote. It's another thing for ESPN, their social team, to post, in quotes, "Everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship," with the source being The Athletic. So I'm going to read you. So I reached out to Daryl, and not surprisingly, he explained to me what I thought was going to be the case, which is, while he wasn't misquoted, it is being misinterpreted. So I'll read you the full quote and clarify, but then I'll also give you my thoughts on what everybody seems to think, all right? Daryl says, quote, "Had the Rockets won the title, I absolutely would have celebrated it as legitimate, knowing the immense effort and resilience required. Yet, everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship." Pause for a moment. The privately agrees is what is tripping people up. He is saying everyone he talks to agrees amongst themselves. Like he is the outlier that says this was an amazing accomplishment, but everybody else says not so much. Where people are saying, and I actually understand why people are confused, they are reading it as everyone privately agrees with me. He's saying everyone privately agrees with each other. And so, and again, Daryl is my pal, but I also, he deserves to have his actual opinion out there correctly. He then went on to say, perhaps lasting legacy of the NBA bubble is that the NBA should be proud of its leadership at both the beginning and the end of the pandemic, even though the champion will forever be marked by an asterisk. And he again is saying there, because that's the way seemingly everyone else feels. And so I said to you guys a couple months ago that the vast majority of NBA myths fall into one of two categories. Not all, but the vast majority. Category 1 is uplifting Michael Jordan, and category 2 is tearing down LeBron James. And there is no greater example of that than the revisionist history on the God Dog bubble. So here is the accurate timeline of the Los Angeles Lakers winning the 2020 NBA championship, okay? In 2018, LeBron James was universally hailed as, by a wide margin, the best player in the NBA, dragging a Cleveland Cavalier team to the NBA Finals with a playoff run that had an all-time record 8 40-point games, 2 true buzzer beaters, 2 Game 7 victories, one of which on the road, and what some consider the single greatest individual performance any player's ever had, 51-8-8 in Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals, where with no other, because Kevin Love had gotten banged up at the end of the Celtics series, with no one around him, against Steph, KD, Clay, Draymond. That's who LeBron was in 2018. In 2019, he goes to the Los Angeles Lakers, who were in the midst of the worst half-decade stretch in the history of their franchise, and is playing a game on Christmas Day when they are a top 4, has drugged that team to a top 4 seed in the West, and suffers the first major injury of his career. But at that moment, there was still no argument and no debate over who the best player in the world was. That offseason, they acquire Anthony Davis and instantly become the best team in the league. That Laker team, pre-pandemic, pre-bubble, pre-everything, with AD, started the year 24-3. Was running roughshod over everyone. LeBron James was the leading NBA MVP candidate, and they were the favorites to win the championship pre-pandemic. So what we had was the Lakers had the best record in basketball. The Lakers had the best player in basketball. The Lakers had made the biggest trade and acquisition of any team that offseason with respect to what the Clippers had done, and they were the favorites to win the championship. The season then shuts down. Post-shutdown, or right before the shutdown, Giannis had, really gone on an unbelievable run, and the NBA MVP debate came down to 2 guys, Giannis or LeBron, with Harden kind of lurking because Harden had made the he and Westbrook thing work, and that team seemed dangerous. And then we get to the bubble, and there is no home court, which penalized 2 teams more than any, which were the 2 teams that had earned home court advantage. LeBron's team and Giannis's team. LeBron's team, which won the West by 4 games, and Giannis's team, which won the East by 4 games. And then the bubble happens, and the playoff bracket is set, and every single potential pitfall or matchup that people are convinced is a bad matchup or the toughest possible path hits the Lakers. We can now pretend it did not happen, but Dame and Portland were the scary team that nobody wanted to face in round one. And the Lakers drew them with no home court advantage. And after losing game one, dispatched of them in 5. Then, the Rockets, with the 1 year Harden and Westbrook worked. That Rockets team, with James Harden being third in MVP voting that year, and Russ, the last actually really good season of his career, at least that involved winning. It's round 2. The Lakers get the Rockets, and they lose game 1, and then dispatch of them in 5. And then you get the Denver Nuggets with a healthy Jamal Murray, who would not lose another playoff series with a healthy Jamal Murray for years. And Anthony Davis plays the best basketball of his life. LeBron James, in a closeout game, goes 38, 16, and 10, and they dispatch of the Nuggets in 5. And then in the NBA Finals, they get a fluke of a team that definitely wouldn't have made the finals if not for the bubble. The Miami Heat, who responded, by the way, to that finals trip by 2 years later making Game 7 of the conference finals, and the year after that making the NBA Finals again. And in those finals, LeBron James plays close to perfect basketball, reminding people once again that he's still the best player in the world, when he averaged 30, 12, and 9 on 59-42 splits, to finish off a playoff run where, again, the best player in the world, LeBron James, averaged for the postseason 28, 11, and 9 on 56% from the field. That team won the championship. And then how did they defend their title when the bubble was done? The next season, they started 21-6. Well, they started actually 11-3. And they had the best record in basketball, or in the Western Conference. It was maybe the Western Conference or basketball, the day Solomon Hill stumbled into LeBron's ankle and he got hurt. So before the pandemic, they were the best team in the league with the best player in the league. During the pandemic, they had their home court advantage they had earned taken from them and got what people were calling at the time a nightmare path. Dame in round 1, Harden and Russ in round 2, Joker and Jamal Murray in round 3, and dust them all in 5. In the finals, people think, they got lucky. They don't have to face Giannis. They don't have to face, I think Toronto was actually the 2 seed that year. That would have been no problem. And they got this fluke of a team in Miami, except for the fact that Miami a couple years later beat Milwaukee again and came within a jump shot of going back to the finals, and then the next year did go back to the finals. And the best player in the world played peak basketball, and then the next season they start 21-6. The idea that the wrong champion was crowned, the idea that that was an easy or fraudulent or lesser path when the only tangible basketball thing that was altered was no one had home court. And so the only tangible damage that was done to any of the teams were the teams that would have had home court throughout. And that was the Los Angeles Lakers. And every single person watching knows that if the Milwaukee Bucks, who were the 1 seed and had the league MVP, it's like the Lakers, who were the 1 seed and had the second, or the runner-up for league MVP. If the Bucks had won that title, there's not a person in the world that would be like, fake title. If I don't even know if the Warriors made the playoffs that year. I don't think they did. Certainly, though, if the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George, instead of absolutely mortifyingly folding against Denver, had won the title, no one would be calling it a fake title. Because ultimately, that discussion is not about how real or fake a title is. That discussion is about either dislike or jealousy of LeBron James. And now our chat says 79% say yes, the bubble title is legit. Our chat probably skews a little LeBron and Laker fan heavy. But you cannot say that the team with the best record and the best player in the world, with a very difficult path, who again, the team they beat in the conference finals validated their appearance there by winning a championship a couple years later. The team they beat in the NBA finals validated their appearance there by making the finals a couple years later. You cannot argue. And then they validated it themselves by being an awesome team the next year before Bron got hurt. It's just such horse shit. And deep down, everybody knows it. What's up, DeMonte?
Horse crap is funny. But yeah, I saw it in the rundown last night. You went on the rant, but I instantly thought, like, how many of those people that say that it wasn't legitimate just don't like LeBron? And it's funny that was the angle. Of
course. I mean, that's all it is. You can. Everybody knows that if the Clippers, who was everyone's team of the flavor of the month that year, and Kawhi had won the title, no one would be saying it doesn't count. And everybody knows if Giannis had won the title, because those were the next two favorites. It was Lakers, Bucks, Clippers were the favorites kind of all year. Had won the title, no one would be saying it didn't count. It's just so stupid. Just so incredibly stupid.
The only real factor is the home court advantage, but that obviously goes both ways.
But it goes both ways, but it hurts the team that's damaged by it is the top seed.
Yeah.
Like and so it's just such utter silliness. All right. Nothing says summer like long days, clutch plays, and firing off a few bets on the game, all with DraftKings Sportsbook. As the season heats up, so do the bats, and DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. Live betting, home run props, odds boosts, and more. Whether you're chasing dingers or jumping in mid-game, there's always action to be had. If you never bet on baseball before, it's easy. Pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride with your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. So right now, you can get the Yankees, who I know haven't been playing great lately, minus 110 against the Rays. The Yankees are trying to win their third straight after a really tough, month and a half of baseball trying to get it going. And Cal Raleigh, you can get him to hit home run at plus 225 against the Rangers. Of course, lines and odds are subject to change. Something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers. Bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Wright. That's code Wright for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, DeMonze, let's keep going.
Preseason is here tonight, starting off with a Hall of Fame game with the Chargers and Lions. Trey Lance is going to be starting for LA while your guy's number 5 ranked quarterback is watching from the sideline. Which would you rather discuss? Danny Parkins quarterback rankings or the game itself?
Well, there's not much to discuss with the game itself, except Trey Lance did have, if you remember, an all-time preseason game last year, I think. I'm trying to pull it up real quick. Gosh darn it. Maybe one of the producers can get it for me. He had a preseason game where I think he had 5 turnovers and like 400 yards. It was
It was
here we go. I've got it right here. Trey Lance played all 93. Gosh darn it. Trey Lance, I'm not signing up for the Shreveport Bossier City Advocate.
We got the link
Listen,
here.
I do support local news, but I can't pay for the Shreveport Bossier Advocate just to get this Trey Lance info.
He is 33 for 49, 323 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions.
Yeah, and there we go. Thank you, guys. And I also think he had like 100 yards rushing. He had 90 yards, so he had 413 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks, played every snap. It was just a tour de force game. So that part is actually kind of exciting to see what he does today. But Danny's quarterback rankings are just an abomination. And it just begs the question, why do we play the games if they're not going to count? And again, I might be being a little harsh because the rankings are actually, Danny's rankings go Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Herbert, Stafford, Jaden, Goff, Baker, Hurts. So when I say they're an abomination, here's what I mean. Or here's what's unfair about that. If he simply flipped Hurts and Herbert, they're a totally legitimate ranking. And I'm not saying that's how I would have it, 1 through 10. But if it went Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Hurts, Stafford, Jaden, Goff, Baker, Herbert, that's fine. Like, there's nothing crazy about that. But having Justin Herbert ahead of Matt Stafford, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, and Jalen Hurts for nothing other than vibes, it's just ridiculous. And
that's pretty good.
So now, DeMonte, do you have an issue with people who put Burrow ahead of Lamar?
No, I could see those. I could flip those on any given day. I feel like.
So
I could put Lamar before Burrow. I'm also not mad at Burrow being before Lamar.
I'm not mad at Burrow being ahead of Lamar. However, again, my job on this pod is to just be the sports world's Ra's al Ghul and, create balance in the world where there otherwise isn't. Let me defend Lamar for a moment here. It is unfair, in my opinion, to penalize Lamar for bad postseason performances and then lift up Joe Burrow, who the last couple of years has had non-existent postseason performances. Yes. You know what I mean? So, it's a weird, because you can't argue, as great as Burrow was in the regular season last year, a lot of the MVP voters, all pro voters, a lot of people thought Lamar was better. And then obviously the year before, Lamar was better in the regular season as Burrow was hurt and wasn't that effective early, and Lamar won league MVP. And so the knock on Lamar is his postseason performances, but Burrow hasn't been in the postseason. So like that one I do think is a little
much of Lamar
unfair.
Lamar is my guy, and you were ripping into him the other day on Tuesday about his postseason success. I really can't argue like that's fair, but how much of that stuff is Burrow's fault? How much of that stuff is Lamar's fault? As far as the postseason, what happens? Like with Joe Burrow, you're saying he was banged up, and then he got a terrible defense last year. I just think.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is yes, those are true factors, but I'm also not going to
use it as a metric, like when ranking them.
Well, no, I what I'm not gonna do is say after the regular season, Lamar is higher than Burrow. Burrow misses the playoffs. Lamar plays poorly in the playoffs, and then Lamar gets dropped beneath Burrow. Like because you can't showing up to a test and failing it is still better than skipping the test, like not showing up. And so like you got some questions right. Yeah. And so like and so that's the I don't think having Burrow ahead of Lamar is outrageous, but it's not what I would have. And then it starts getting, then we start figuring out where exactly do you have Hurts. And the Hurts ranking is really interesting. And I tried to make this point on TV yesterday, and I did it kind of ham-handedly, which is Eagles fans right now, and I get it, they're feeling themselves. You won the Super Bowl. You should absolutely be thrilled. But they kind of want the best of both worlds. They want everyone to acknowledge how utterly stacked their roster is, how great Howie Roseman's done, how good they are, in every way, shape, and form. They want all of that, but they also don't want any of us to incorporate any of that into our evaluation of Jalen Hurts. Like, they want everyone to bend the knee that they have the best overall roster in football by a mile, but also pretend like we think Jalen Hurts is carrying just a regular team. And so now I think Hurts has been clearly excellent in huge spots, and I think having Hurts 10 like Danny did is a bridge too far. But I also think that you view it differently than if Josh Allen had won the Super Bowl last year with the team he had, Jalen winning it last year with the team he had. I just think there is some nuance there. Eagles fans, on the other hand, want us all to be like, you have the greatest roster in the league. It's Saquon's a Hall of Famer. Howie drafts better than everyone. The best wide receiver duo, the best offensive line, and also Jalen Hurts got no help. Which is you're not gonna get that. All right, let's keep going.
Wait. Are you going to be betting on the game, first off?
No, I'm not betting on the Hall of Fame game. I'm not.
All right.
I will be betting on football this year, obviously, but I'm not betting on the Hall of Fame game.
But yeah, speaking of the Hall of Fame game, are there any surefire Hall of Famers that you would like to plant your flag on right now?
So this is something we do every year. And if the producers could just kind of create a running list in the doc, and if we can, and if anyone in the chat thinks I'm leaving somebody out, tell me, because I'll give you an example. I'm not going to now because I mentioned it, but I could forget that Von Miller is now on Washington, and Von Miller is a short, you know what I mean? But we'll just go team by team and try to do this. The Buffalo Bills. The Bills have 0 surefire Hall of Famers on defense and one only surefire Hall of Famer on offense, and that's Josh Allen. And Josh was not a surefire Hall of Famer prior to last year, but the unbelievable stats that now go along with a regular season MVP, that puts him there hands down. Hands down is maybe wrong, but he's a Hall of Famer. So we're at 1 for the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins have 1 surefire Hall of Famer, and that's Tyreek Hill. There is, I think that, this is interesting. This is interesting.
Tua?
No, Tua's not Tua's not even anywhere close. No. I was thinking Minka. But Minka Fitzpatrick is definitely not surefire. And and let me just do something because Dusty, if you're watching in the First Things First production room, just tell Brew I'll talk to him about the Maury LeBron story. We should do it, even though Daryl's slightly misquoted. I'm getting 1,000 texts on this group thread about everybody arguing about this because I can't chime in because I'm doing this. Minka's had a very nice career, and he's a 3-time All-Pro, so he has a chance, but he's not surefire. Tyreek is surefire, and there is no one else on the Dolphins that is anywhere close to it. All right, the Patriots. The Patriots have no one, right? Like, definitely right now, there's certainly no one on their offense, and there is certainly no one on their defense. Now, part of that's because the team's so young. So, like, that's not that's not not to say the team has no talent or anything, but again, the exercise we're doing right now is if they were to retire, are they in the Hall of Fame, basically? And the Jets are in a similar spot. So in the AFC East, the surefire active Hall of Famers are Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill. The AFC North, right now, the Cincinnati Bengals have 0. Now, Jamar and Joe are on Hall of Fame trajectories, but they are not anywhere close to having established it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, if Jamar's got to do this for another 5 years. Joe has to do this for at least another 4 years plus, get some type of, he either has to,
or if he just won a Super Bowl like next year.
That's what I was going to say. Right. He either has to clip an MVP, win a Super Bowl, or just another 6 years of these awesome numbers. Like one or the other. So the Bengals have none. The Browns have 1 in Myles Garrett. Obviously no one on offense. Sorry, Joe Flacco, you're not getting a look. He did win a Super Bowl and has a lot big numbers, but he's not there. Denzel Ward, not close. But Myles Garrett is already in. Myles Garrett, I said Flacco. Flacco's not going to make it. He won the Super Bowl and he won the Super Bowl MVP, and he does have big counting stats. He's not making it. Myles Garrett, 6-time All-Pro, over 100 career sacks, a Defensive Player of the Year. He's obviously in. The Steelers, amazingly, DeMonze, I think
3?
have maybe 4. So the Steelers have, as surefire Hall of Famers, Aaron Rodgers and TJ Watt. Those guys are locked, right? Jalen Ramsey, who is on the Steelers now, I believe he is locked. And then Cam Hayward, 5-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, a Walter Payton Man of the Year. I think he's getting in. So
Cam Hayward.
That is 4 future Hall of Famers on the Steelers, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And are we so he's getting in. And then the Ravens have, right now, they have 2 with a couple guys who could get there. Or no, I'm sorry. I apologize. The Ravens have 3 with a couple guys who could get there. Lamar is locked.
Henry.
Derrick Henry is locked. And DeAndre Hopkins is going to get there. So, and then the guys who could, but have a long way to go, Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith. But they have 3 locks in Lamar, Henry, and Hopkins. All right. The Titans have nobody. There's not like an old player on that team that I'm forgetting. And Jeffrey Simmons has a chance, but he's got a ways to go. So the Titans were done with easily. The Colts, I feel like Quentin Nelson is getting in. Let me check his accolades. Quentin Nelson, 5-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, he's in. So the Colts do have one. Shout out Quentin Nelson. Jonathan Stewart's not going to make it. DeForest Buckner is an underdog to make it, but they've got one in Quentin Nelson. The Jags have none, right? There's no one on the Jags I'm forgetting. Nope. And then the Texans, as far as guys that are they've already done enough. No one on offense. Joe Mixon's not making it. Nick Chubb's not making it. And their defensive players are too young. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's not making it. Stingley and Will Anderson, you've got miles to go. Donnell Hunter is not quite that caliber. All right, now to the AFC West, and then we'll see where we're at on the whole AFC. The Broncos, again, I think that Pat Surtain is building quite the resume, but it's too early. And certainly no one on their offense has done anything close to enough yet, so the Broncos are out. The Chargers have no one on the offense, and defensively, Khalil Mack, I think he's in. Khalil Mack, let me look at the career. 5-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowl, all decades. Yeah, 108 sacks, Defensive Player of the Year. Khalil Mack's in. Derwin James, as much as I like him, I don't think he's in yet. So 4-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler. He probably needs a little bit more. The Raiders no one on offense, obviously, and Max hasn't done enough yet. Max is creating a Hall of Fame resume, but he hasn't done enough yet. And then the Chiefs, Mahomes is locked, Kelsey is locked, and Chris Jones is locked. And that's the list. So in the AFC, the following players are in the Hall of Fame: Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Jalen Ramsey, Cam Hayward, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Quentin Nelson, Khalil Mack, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. How many guys is that? 5, 10. It's 15, I think. So we've got 15 with, again, more guys. Minka is probably not making it. And then Burrow, Chase, I would imagine make it, but we can't call them locks yet. Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, Pat Surtain, Derwin James, Max Crosby. But 15 locks, and this speaks to why making the Hall of Fame is so damn difficult in this league. So these guys are going to retire, a couple a year coming up, and you only let 5 in, and then guys who are waiting, it's not 5 new spots, it's like 2 new spots. It's really hard. All right, let's go to the NFC. As Cowboys that are lock Hall of Famers, right now, it's none. Dak is not going to make it, and Micah is a great bet to make it, but is too young. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody from Micah's same draft class as Jamar Chase. He's in the exact same boat where you think that he has a really good chance to do it, but is and Zach Martin's, their offensive line Hall of Famers are gone now. The Giants, I don't think Russell's going to make it. Dexter Lawrence needs to do a lot more, as does Brian Burns. I think Russell Wilson right now is on the outside looking in. The Eagles are really interesting because right now, DeMonze, the Eagles only have one absolute lock Hall of Famer in Lane Johnson, their right tackle. Saquon is on track now, but needs a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, just because he hasn't had enough great seasons. A.J. Brown, I think, is on track. And Jalen Hurts is on track. He has an all-pro season. He has been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. But the only guy on the Eagles that could retire today and get and be certain they're getting in is Lane Johnson. And the Commanders, we already said Von Miller. And that's the only guy. Von Miller is a Hall of Famer. Oh, no, that's not the only guy. I almost screwed that up. Bobby Wagner's definitely making it. Their inside linebacker. Bobby Wagner's, there's no question he's making it. So they're older guys, and they're on their defense, but the Commanders have 2. I'm only saying guys that, so the only guy that I've said is a lock that I actually think might not, Walter Payton Man of the Year carry and Cam Hayward. Again, you got to be very choosy with the locks. Friend of the show and host of, I hope he doesn't mind me quoting him on this, I think the best daily NFL podcast there is, NFL Daily, Greg Rosenthal chimes in. Russell Wilson makes the Hall of Fame eventually, but not a lock. Maybe. I think he might need one more little push. All right, so let's keep going. I mean, he was on a great Hall of Fame trajectory post Seattle, but it's gone so badly for him since then. All right, the Chicago Bears. I think Joe Tooney is now in. Joe Tooney, who has, what does he have? 3 Super Bowls? 4 Super Bowls, 4 All-Pros. I think Joe Tooney is in. And I don't think anyone else on that team is a lock. I mean, obviously Caleb's going to make it, but probably too early to call him a lock. The Lions. That's an interesting one. Do the Lions have a single lock Hall of Famer on the team? The answer to that question is no. As good as they are. Now, part of that's because they're so young. Like on the defensive side of the ball, they're so young. But, and really on offense, I mean, they're
a younger team.
Yeah, I would bet a lot of money that Penei Sewell eventually makes it. Their right tackle. But he's in the same boat as Micah and Jamar, which is you just haven't done enough yet. The Packers, I'm quite certain, have nobody. I mean, they're like Kenny Clark's been there forever. He's not a Hall of Fame level player. Xavier McKinney's really good. He's not a Hall of Fame level player. Yeah, so the Packers have nobody that is a Hall of Fame lock. Man, this is tough. Justin Jefferson is going to make the Hall of Fame, but he probably needs to be a lock for it. He probably needs 2 more years. I mean, he's 4-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, and an Offensive Player of the Year. It's close, but if he were to walk today, he's not in yet, but he is we can put him in heavy ink, but I'm not going to include him on the list yet just because he hasn't played quite long enough. Jonathan Allen's not a Hall of Famer, so the Vikings don't have anyone. It's interesting right now, it seems like how many more the AFC has than the NFC.
Oh.
Yeah, so much of it, DeMonte, is because good teams are young. You know what I mean? Like, they're not... the Falcons... Jake Matthews is not a Hall of... He's been there forever, but he's not a Hall of Famer. And, quality player forever, not a Hall of Famer. And they obviously have no one on defense unless I'm forgetting. Jesse Bates is building a resume, but he's not there yet. So the Falcons have nobody. The Saints have one who's going to be a Hall of Famer in Cam Jordan. I mean, Cam Jordan, his sack numbers are insane. Like, it's really interesting because he's never had like a 20-sack season. In fact, I don't even know if he's ever had a 16-sack season, but he's got 121 sacks. He's making the Hall of Fame. And Demario Davis is not. And that's obviously nobody on that. Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
I don't think he's there. I think he is in the same boat, sadly, that my guy Jamal Charles is going to be in. Awesome, but not quite there. And Harrison Smith, who Paul mentions, 2-time All-Pro, 6 Pro Bowls is nice. I don't think he gets in. It's too hard. It's too hard, man. All right, for the Bucks. The Bucks have one guy who at this point is a lock in Mike Evans. And no one else. Levante David. Is he going to 3-time All-Pro? No. He's a great player. Can't call it. Mike Evans is the one lock the Bucks have. And the Panthers, without looking, I feel confident in saying the Panthers have nobody. Adam Thielen, very nice career. Obviously not a Hall of Famer. And, yeah, the Panthers have nobody. All right, Rams. This is an interesting one. I don't think Stafford is a lock, which means the Rams don't have any lock. Oh, sorry. Davante Adams is a lock. Davante's getting in. But Stafford versus Russ is going to end up being an interesting one that gets debated. But I don't think Stafford's a lock. I think he will get in, but I would not bet my net worth on it. The Cardinals, do they have anybody? Calais Campbell. Gosh, I can't believe he's still in the league. He was in the 2008 draft class. So Calais Campbell, 110 sacks, 2-time All-Pro, but 6-time Pro Bowler and All-Decade and a Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's getting in. Calais Campbell, call him a lock. And now we're down to 2 teams. The Seahawks, Cooper Kupp's not a Hall of Famer. DeMarcus Lawrence is not a Hall of Famer. The Seahawks have nobody. And the 49ers, who, lost a lot of their kind of veteran guys. I think the 49ers only have 2 locks. No, they probably have 3. Trent Williams is a definitive lock. Fred Warner is a definitive lock. And George Kittle's a lock. George Kittle's 5-time All-Pro. So Trent, Warner, and Kittle are locks. Nick Bosa has a chance. And that's the end of it. So, I'm sorry. Christian McCaffrey obviously has a chance, but is not in yet. It just doesn't have enough healthy seasons. So here's what we've got. In the NFC, Lane Johnson, Von Miller, Bobby Wagner, Joe Thuney, Cam Jordan, Mike Evans, Davante Adams, Calais Campbell, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, George Kittle. In the AFC, Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Jalen Ramsey, Cam Hayward, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Quentin Nelson, Khalil Mack, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. So that means we have right now, 25 to 30 lock Hall of Famers. Justin Jefferson, who is going to make it. Jamar Chase, who I would be shocked if he doesn't make it. Micah, Saquon, Burrow are all en route. Penei Sewell is en route. CMC needs one more great year. But it's just hard to make, man. If you're waiting and you see these guys retiring, it's just hard to make the Hall of Fame. I hope that was interesting for the audience. I find it interesting. I love doing that. But it might just also
that you, or was that Zagan?
I kind of meant I consider Justin Jefferson and Micah and those guys young guys. But guys like super young guys, no. Hall of Fame's hard.
Not Jaden.
Jaden had an amazing first year. 100%. Jahmyr Gibbs is an interesting one. Hard as a running back. This is a message that applies to 99% of you listening right now, because that's how many of you can be covered by fast and reliable service on the Boost mobile network with 99% nationwide coverage. And if you don't think you deserve a deal, listen up. You got another thing coming. Right now, when you switch to Boost Mobile, you can get iPhone 15 with Dynamic Island and a 48-megapixel main camera for $99.99. That's $99.99 for iPhone 15 on a nationwide 5G network. This may only apply to 99% of you, but I'm 100% positive Boost Mobile just gave all of us a really freaking good deal. In-store offer, $35 device setup fee may apply, requires credit qualification, ID verification, and activation on $6 plan, taxes extra, 5G speeds not available in all areas. My goodness gracious. Sorry about the siren outside my window. I don't know what's going on here.
Loud as it possibly could be.
I mean, I think this is what's happening. I think there is a fire truck trying to get down the street.
It's stuck at the
and someone's double parked. That's what I think is going on. I don't know what to do about it. It seems... Hold on, let me look.
Go out there and tell them the podcast is going on right now, man. See? There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Should I do that Boost Mobile read again? I feel like I should. This is a message that applies to 99% of you listening right now because that's how many of you can be covered by fast and reliable service on the Boost Mobile network with 99% nationwide coverage. And if you don't think you deserve a deal, listen up. You got another thing coming right now. When you switch to Boost Mobile, you can get iPhone 15 with Dynamic Island and a 48-megapixel main camera for $99.99. That's $99.99 for iPhone 15 on a nationwide 5G network. This may only apply to 99% of you, but I'm 100% positive Boost Mobile just gave all of us a really freaking good deal. In-store offer, $35 device setup fee may apply, requires credit qualification, ID verification, and activation on $60 plans, taxes extra, 5G speeds not available in all areas. All right, DeMonze, let's jump down to the Shedeur conversation quickly here because we spent so much time on the Hall of Fame stuff. We're not going to be able to get to every single thing.
So Browns owner Jimmy Haslam has distanced himself from the Shedeur Sanders pick, saying that the GM was the one who made that call and not him. So why wouldn't he want stake on such a low-risk, high-reward situation?
So, listen, I think he is just trying to... I don't think he's trying to distance himself as much as what he's trying to do is make it clear or at least clean up a bit. No, the GM's in charge, not me. Here is what I find so interesting about the Shedeur situation right now. I was not a Shedeur guy. I was one of, I think, the first people in the mock draft community that had Shedeur early in the process, slipping to the back half of round one, talking about that the Steelers might not need to trade up if they need to get him. I talked a lot about how I thought there was too much discussion about Shedeur's personality and not enough discussion about his lack of arm talent. And that I just didn't look at him as like a blue chip prospect. So I was not a Shedeur guy. And now, however, because of where he is and the quarterbacks that he is competing with, I find myself feeling like they've got to start him at some point. Because here's the deal. Kenny Pickett is injured and not an NFL quarterback. There is a 0% chance Kenny Pickett is the Steelers' answer at quarterback. 0%. The Steelers, pardon me. There is a 0% chance he wasn't the Steelers' answer, that Kenny Pickett is the Browns' answer at quarterback. So cross him out. Joe Flacco is 40 years old. There is a 0% chance Joe Flacco is their long-term answer at quarterback. So cross him out. Dylan Gabriel, sorry, and you're not going to like this, DeMonze, he's too small. There is a 0% chance Dylan Gabriel can be a nice backup, maybe a spot starter. There is a 0% chance Dylan Gabriel is the Browns' franchise quarterback 3 years from now. Shedeur, there is a 5% chance Shedeur is the Browns' franchise quarterback. 5%. More than 1, less than 10, somewhere in there. When the other three guys are a combined 0%, and you're going to be a terrible team, the moment, you can start Flacco to start the year, but the moment that the year has gotten away from you, you got to play Shedeur. And that's the other weird thing. Haslam was like, Andrew picks the players, Stefanski sets decides who plays, but then also said in that same soundbite, obviously both young guys need to play this year. I mean, Haslam's not the greatest owner. Just flatly.
Both of them just saying that this year is like a waste.
Well, I mean, it seems like
both young quarterbacks need to play this year. You kind of have an idea of what your season's about to look like.
Correct, because they have 2 first-round picks next year, and Haslam's a tough guy to work for. All right, it's July 31st, Demonze, which means we're, obviously a day away from August. And you know what August means? It means it's U.S. Open season. Okay. And I am so excited to go to the U.S. Open. I don't know, 3 days, 4 days, 7 days. I might, which is why I want to give it the sponsor of today's video and show a huge shout out, and that is SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and so much more. Right now, you can get tickets to the NFL season right around the corner. Hell, if you're in Canton, get tickets to the Hall of Fame game tonight. MLB's in full swing, and the U.S. Open. Men's and women's tennis. Nice little grounds pass for early in the week. Go sit down, court 17. Watch the 17th ranked player in the world up close and personal. Get in for almost nothing. Then later in the week, get you good seats at Ash or maybe Louis Armstrong. Again, you guys know what I do when it's U.S. Open time. I drive to my secret parking spot in Flushing, set my car there. Once again, for 5 straight years, no one's ever taken my spot. As I'm walking over to Arthur Ashe, I open up SeatGeek and I buy my tickets for the day. And it's that easy. You guys know the system they have. Each ticket's rated on a scale of 1 to 10. You know you're getting a good deal. Look for the big green dots. Green means good. Red means it's a bad deal. Every ticket backed by their buyer guarantee. So listen, you can use code WRIGHT10, WRIGHT 10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code WRIGHT10. Make sure you click the link in the description, download the app, and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. I'm excited, Demonze. Yannick Sinner fans got very mad at me for my Sinner's not on the level of Alcaraz take. That went like viral in Italian Twitter. And it really did. Exactly right. But I'm excited to hopefully watch Alcaraz and Sinner at the U.S. Open this year, thanks to my friends at SeatGeek. And while I'm out there, by the way, here's the thing. Love going to the U.S. Open, but it does get hot. And if there's one thing you shouldn't mess around with this summer, especially at the U.S. Open, it's your deodorant. Mando deodorant and sweat control is built for this season in particular. It has been absolutely unbearably hot in New York lately, and it blocks odor all day and controls sweat too. Whether you're grilling in the 90-degree weather, heading to a baseball game, at the U.S. Open, going for a run, whatever it is, Mando keeps you fresh and dry. One of the worst feelings in the world. So you live in New York, take the subway, you get off, you walk into work, you showered an hour ago, doesn't matter, you smell. With Mando, you have zero concerns because you know you'll smell great and will last all day. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code WRIGHT at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide and free shipping. If you missed it the first time, let me tell you once more. Special offer for listeners. New customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code WRIGHT at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. That's shopmado.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered. Protect your pits. Smell great doing it. All right, Demonze. Appreciate everybody watching, listening today. Please like, rate, subscribe, review. I have to get to work. This was a longer show than expected. And then I am. Do you have big plans this weekend, buddy? Just out of curiosity. You got anything going on? Just watching the eggs?
Nothing huge. Yeah, 100% probably will be stopping
Just
myself
hanging out?
from opening the incubator every
Okay.
3 or 4 hours.
Well, again, I'm on a semi-secret mission. I'll tell you guys about it on Tuesday, see how it goes. But the same invite I extended to you 3 months ago exists again. So just let me know.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, yes, sir.
Same
Yes,
thing.
sir. How long is that? Like, what? That's from when to
I
when?
leave
Tomorrow.
tonight. I leave tonight, and I stay until I fly overnight Sunday night, Monday morning. So it's over the
Okay.
weekend. So yeah.
Okay.
So just let me know.
Sweet. I mean, I'm getting a haircut Friday. We all saw it.
Oh, okay. All right, maybe. All right, we might be in business. Might be in business. All right, reminder, like, rate, subscribe, review to the pod. Thank you to Blue Duck. Thank you to Volume. Thank you to Boost, to Mando, to SeatGeek, and to DraftKings, of course. And apologies for the siren outside. Hopefully that was not my car that's waiting on me that was blocking the fire truck. I don't think it was. I think he would have moved, but I'm about to go find out. I'll see you guys later. What's right?